Morning and good afternoon. Welcome to episode 68 of the Leading IT podcast. Today's episode is SaaS dead? So with the advent of agentic AI, so there's a lot of buzz around saying that SaaS is going to die. So that's what we're going to get through in detail today. And if you're new, I'm Josh Rubin, CEO at consulting firm Imperial IT. My co-host is leading CIO Tom Layden, and we tackle the fast-changing IT landscape from both sides of the client-vendor paradigm with pragmatic, actionable advice. And it's for Australian IT leaders. So if you're looking to stay up to date with what's happening with AI, cybersecurity, automation, cloud and infrastructure, strategy and leadership, you are in the right place. So, Tom, how are you?
Yeah, good. So, a bit of news since we last talked. So, changing my jobs. A lot of people I've spoken to have actually gone through something similar, where you get to a stage, and then organisation wants to reduce costs. They look at you and they go, right, okay, CIO, you don't make sense anymore. I don't know if I agree with that fully, but that's what it is. So, in between jobs is the euphemism. Sort of exploring what the next options might be for me. So looking at various options around maybe getting back into a CIO gig, but also maybe just doing more consulting type work as well, which also very appealing. Talking to a lot of people, so I just need to thank everyone I've spoken to over the last few weeks. It's been really interesting to see what people are up to, what they're doing, what the challenges are. And guess what everyone wants to talk about, Josh? AI. They all want to talk about AI. Everyone leans in on the AI conversation. So there's going to be a lot around that topic. Hopefully we'll do more of that space in the future as well.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear that you're going through it, and I think an opportunity for you to step up. And anyone out there who's looking for someone,
Yeah, for sure.
I can only very highly recommend Tom.
Oh, thank you.
I think
Yeah, appreciate it.
The podcast and back episodes are a great reflection of who he is, and it would be an asset to any organisation. So,
Nice one. Yeah, no, appreciate it. But if anyone also wants to talk about their career transition as well, because amazing how many people are actually going through something similar as well. And stage of life type thing, you get to a certain age, don't you? And people have to make a transition. I'm more than happy to have that conversation with anyone.
And also for those who are listening across Australia, so we're Melbourne based, so Victoria particularly, the economy has not been run very well. So we're probably Victorian based businesses are struggling a bit more than everywhere else. So
that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I know you're talking to a lot of customers, Josh. Is that what you're hearing? People are going, "Oh my God, things are flat."
Particularly in construction, yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But demand is constantly rising, so what a stuff up.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Anyway.
Yeah. So, but
we'll get through it.
We'll see.
Seen it before.
Yeah, not our first, and I'm extremely confident you'll land something bigger and better.
Thanks, fella. I would not take up piano if anyone asks. There'll be no piano playing in my professional future. Mate, let's go into the news though. What have you got?
Yeah, there's quite a bit because it's been a few weeks. So the first big one was that Google is acquiring cybersecurity startup Wiz for $32 billion US dollars.
How do you get into that? That's what I need to be in, right?
It's four of my Israeli brothers. So
no.
Can you believe they started the business in 2020? So this is a 5-year-old business. I know.
And you tell me what I want to do next. That's
well, they must be doing something pretty good. So I'll go through a little bit of the info rather than just being jealous. So founded in 2020. They declined an offer from Google last summer for $23 billion. So they held out and they got another $9 billion. So what do? So they're a CNAPP, so Cloud Native Application Protection vendor. So it's a pretty new space. So I think Google want to get this platform to have a competitive advantage in the cloud security space. I would think. And it's around improving visibility and fixing misconfigurations and security gaps in your cloud. And they're also one of the first major vendors to offer AI security posture management in November 23. So lots of competitors copied them on that. and they already had the highest valuation of any venture-backed cybersecurity vendor at $12 billion. But guess what their annual recurring revenue is? It's $500 million, and they're expecting to cross $1 billion this year, which is, I mean, amazing to
a
get
3-year
to.
organization. Sorry, 5-year organization. Yeah, Jesus,
But
that's
that's a multiple. That's a 32 times
yeah,
potential revenue.
yeah.
It's
Mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing. But man, I mean,
it
good on
is.
them. They
Yeah.
identified a problem. The solution was awesome. Bang.
So
It's that easy.
So I think I did want to sort of cover why. So what they did, so they made sort of the interesting. I had to sort of look around. So they built an enterprise-grade solution. So saying it's simple, but not simplistic, and
Yeah.
it appeals to not just individuals, also teams, managers. It's got great dashboards, architected correctly, and fantastic execution. So congratulations to them,
Yeah.
and be interesting to see what Google do with them.
I guess they won't care. I suspect.
No, no,
On
they'll
their
be
islands or yachts or
yeah,
wherever they'll be.
yes, yeah. Oh, I'm sure they'll have to work for a couple of years, but yeah, they're very young. I don't know if you saw them, but they make me feel old looking at them.
Maybe sick personally,
Yeah,
but good.
yeah,
No, well done. Honestly, it's doable. That's what I
yeah,
thought.
yeah.
All right, mate.
So that
Can
could
I
be your next job, Tom. Now you're free. Go and do a cybersecurity startup.
unicorn? Bit of a
That's
unicorn,
it.
man.
That's it.
I've got some more news. I want to talk about Signal, Josh. Signal.
Okay.
What a stuff up. Hey, so how many IT CIO type managers are out there saying, "All right, don't use WhatsApp for communication, please. You've got to use Teams."
Mm-hmm.
And then these Muppets, security, is paramount. I would have thought of then gone added some rando to their chat, their Signal chat.
Mm-hmm.
What a great! How many IT managers just banging their head on the ground, going, "Oh my god, these Muppets, really? Come on." What is what? And then they're saying, "Oh no, it wasn't our fault.
Yeah.
You added the guy." I love it. But every company, everyone, they're all doing it. No one tells IT, but
Yeah.
it all happens everywhere, right? Thought that was
Yeah.
quite funny. I had a good laugh.
That's good. All right. I've got a couple of Microsoft security things talking about security. Less exciting. Well, one of them is pretty exciting. So as of for customers who are on Microsoft 365 Business Premium, which is their sort of 300 seat and below package, which includes a lot of their security products. Previously, you were not able to add on their E5 security bundles. So now they've announced that as of March 6, a few weeks ago, you can add the E5 security add-on. So which includes Entra ID Plan 2, Defender for Identity, Defender for Endpoint, and Office 365 Plan 2, and Defender for Cloud Apps. So you can add that on to your business premium. So that's really, it's a cost-effective package. It has all the tools to enable you to meet Essential 8 Level 2, Maturity Level 2.
All right.
And the cost of buying it as a package compared to buying all those products separately, it's about a 60% saving. So
Okay, right. Yeah.
I would be, so if you're a sub 300 user using
Yeah.
Business Premium, then but a lot of the things that you get in there, things like the Defender for Office 365 Plan 2, so that adds on a lot of the mail security stuff that you would look for someone like a know before the end user training or a proof point. So that's in there. And the Defender for Identity, Defender for Endpoint Plan 2, and the other stuff, that's all, again, making it a lot more competitive with a CrowdStrike. So it's about $180 a user a year to add
Right.
that on. So what's that? $15. So it's not a lot, and you're getting a lot in there.
It
So
makes
anyone,
sense.
yeah,
It makes sense when you start turning other stuff off as well.
yes,
That's when it really adds up, right?
yes. So it will definitely, and all centralized on one platform. Now, the other thing I saw recently, which I thought was very cool from Microsoft, was this face check with Microsoft Entra verified ID. Have you heard about this?
Nope.
Okay, so this is really cool. So we've spoken about this on previous podcasts about the rise of deep fakes. So now, the ability to copy people's images and to use, we've spoken about on Teams or whatever. So now Microsoft have announced a solution as part of the Entra suite, the Entra ID suite. It's an add-on. But what it does is it's a face matching facial recognition solution. So it's
Right.
not like the Face ID you get on Apple, which is just does a, checks
32-point
your,
check or whatever of your
yeah,
face. Yeah.
yeah. So whereas this one actually you take multiple, it takes multiple photos of your face,
Mm.
and it's doing like a liveness checking and compare, and it's using the Azure AI service to do a liveness check, and it compares it with like a driver's license or a company approved identity.
Right.
So how it works is the data. What's also called is the data does not sit in the service. So you register with an approved identity provider. There's quite a few. There's LexisNexis. There's
Yeah, you're
Idemio.
right. Yeah.
There's
Yep.
View, and so they hold the data. So the
Yep.
user, once you set up the service, you set it up using in Azure. It's an Azure service, so you pay 40 cents a recognition, like a time. But if you think about different situations where you might want to do an elevated check, so when someone's starting and that you're giving them access to all your key applications, you might want to get them to do this advanced authentication, or when they're getting a new laptop, or when they're moving locations, etc., etc., or they want to do an account reset, or they've lost their, or they've lost their device, or whatever. There's a lot of situations where you might want to enable this. So it's not going to. This isn't a replacement for Windows Hello for every time you log into your computer. This is more in situations where you want to have high assurance.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's a really good. I thought it was a really good solution. It's not a lot of work to implement, so we
Right.
implemented it for a customer a couple of weeks ago. It was only maybe 4 or 5 days of work, so it's not a massive, and it's not a high cost solution. So I thought this was really forward leaning. Forward leaning from Microsoft, and definitely talking about all the AI deepfake stuff. That's been happening. I thought it was good that Microsoft have already come out with something like this. So yeah, that was
Interesting.
my
Yeah,
little bit
it'd
of news.
be. Yeah, so the use cases, particularly around elevated privilege requests,
Yeah,
or change requests, they're the things where you need to jump in, don't you, when something happens.
if you're giving someone global admin rights, whatever, if they're an admin, all those sorts of situations where you want to do a real check.
Verification. Also really good for financial services, obviously, where people need to verify that they're actually talking to the right person, providing financial details, people are giving out financial information. Yeah, good one.
Yeah, it's good. Did you have other news?
Yeah, quickly, it's worth noting the tariff conversation in the US as well. One of the things that's quite interesting is the tariffs. They're putting tariffs on IT equipment going back into the US. So companies like Dell and HP are seeing their share price drop. As a result, US companies are dropping because they're getting tariffs of the laptops that they design, created overseas, then being imported back into the US and getting faced with tariffs. So it's just insane, right? What it could mean for us in Australia is that essentially things could get cheaper as people look for other markets, right? So the idea would be, you can imagine a place where, Australia's a cheaper market, easier market. So let's just make that easier to deal with. So hoping that's what would happen out of this craziness. But it's just something you need to keep an eye on, right?
Not seeing it yet, Tom. The dollar's gone from $1.49 to $1.59, and it's being passed on to the customers. I can promise you.
Yeah, I mean, we're just hoping for some good news around that side, right? Because we're on the buy side of all this stuff.
Yeah,
it's madness.
Yeah, it's not good. All right, now the last bit of news I have on my end is just a quick Broadcom, our friends Broadcom. Just when you thought they couldn't get any worse, they can. So they, as of April 1, the minimum order and renewal is now 72 cores.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, great.
So if you have 36 cores, get in now before Monday and give me a call and I'll do a deal for you. But from Monday, if you only need 36 cores, bad luck. You need to buy 72.
And what is the pain? What is that? Is it double the price, or is it?
Well, it's not double the price. Well, if you've got 36 cores, yeah, you're paying for 72. There's no way out of it. They're making you pay for at least 72 cores, whether you need it or not.
What's wrong with these people? Don't they care about their customer? They're just after money. What's going on?
You said it, not me. I've never. Look, it's not like it's essentially you'd have to have it's basically 2.5 VMware hosts. So it's not. So you'd have to be pretty small. My concern is if you want to do an upgrade, if you just want to be adding a node, are they going to make you?
You're going to have capacity. You're always going to have excess, or not going to quite fit.
Yeah. So
stuff.
it's just not nice. It's just not nice. But we've been doing comparisons across the market of late, and it's still, unfortunately, even with all their shenanigans, it's still commercially competitive.
Right. Well, there goes. So they know what they're doing. They know why. They know that they can get away with it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
They're not stupid.
We've been comparing it with Nutanix and
the
Microsoft Azure stack, and it's still, unfortunately, the product's the best, but it's still, given their behaviour, you don't like to
choice.
You don't like to reward bad behaviour, but unfortunately, there's still, unless you want to go down a Proxmox or a Red Hat or something a bit open sourcey, there's still not a great option. So other than VMware. Sorry, Tom, any more news from you?
Mate, let's just get into it, hey?
All right.
Let's get into this thing.
This is huge and exciting. All right, so where's this all come from is the Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella, has stated that SaaS will collapse in the AI agent era. So I'll just quote what he said, because if you think he's talking about SaaS applications, if you think about it, they are essentially CRUD. So, which stands for create, read, update, delete databases with a bunch of business logic. So if you move the business logic to the agents, which will work across multiple repositories and operations, these agents won't care what the back end is. They will update multiple databases, and all the logic will reside in the AI layer. Now, that's what's your response and reaction to that, Tom?
It's somewhat simplistic. Obviously everyone who's involved in these tools, like I get where you're coming from, obviously, but
not you, as in it's not me. I was stating Satya before you. Don't shoot the messenger, Tom. I'm just saying.
Well, I've got a lot of time for this guy, but there's a little bit more to it than that, right? But I get where he's coming from, and I think there's a lot of thinking behind that kind of statement. When people say these things like Salesforce are dead, there's how many hundreds of billions of dollars is that industry? Like, that's a big statement. Microsoft Dynamics, he's saying that's dead. Is that what he's saying? His own tool?
Well, let's explore. So I've done a fair bit of reading. So let's get into it into detail. So firstly, Microsoft are obviously pushing Dynamics is their back end, and the Dynamics agents.
Yes.
And what they're trying to do, if they're saying the logic is going to be in at the AI layer, but you need your data. So Microsoft obviously want to be the platform where your AI and your data sits, right? They want everything to be in their ecosystem, and because they have
of course they do.
They have all the platform, and look, and they may well win, but Salesforce and Oracle have, and other Amazon will have things to say. So Gartner are saying that by 2028, 33% of enterprise software apps will include agentic AI, up from less than 1% in 2024.
Sure.
Doesn't mean a lot, but again, Microsoft are positioning themselves as the central data and AI platform. All right. So, okay, so let's just level set. So what is an AI agent? So an AI agent is an artificial intelligence system that can act independently. It can make decisions and perform tasks proactively without waiting for a human to tell them what to do. So it's a smart autonomous assistant. So does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yeah.
All right. So then the next thing is, I giggled, is AaaS. Do you know what AaaS is?
I don't want to say.
Agent as a service.
Oh, okay. Agent as a service.
Agent as a service.
Right.
Yes. So it's about leveraging these AI assistants to do tasks on their own. Yep. So they're using machine learning, natural language processing to work out what to do. And then it gets even more interesting where you have multiple agent as a service. I'm not joking. I didn't make this up.
I know.
So this is where multiple agents can work together.
Yeah.
Each handling a task. Yeah. So an example is the Microsoft Plan Designer, which we talked about, remember, where you can build, help you build your apps and all that sort of stuff. We've covered it. So, okay, so what is it made up of? So an agent is made up of the brain, which is an LLM, right? That's the brain. There's the libraries. That's the knowledge base you train it up on, right? The better the knowledge and the more specific the knowledge, the better it can do. It's got some memory. So it does have some short-term memory, so it can remember that it's you and your data. The hands, the actions. So this is APIs, this is connectors, this is software. So it can send an email, update a database,
do
and then
stuff.
Then it's got a planning module to allow it to break down tasks and do things in different orders. So that's what these agents. That's what these agents are.
Great.
So, all right. So if let's look at where we are now, right? So if you look at where you are now, standard business, you might have various SaaS or on-prem applications, and each of it has its own interface and learning curve and rules. So you might jump into Salesforce for your CRM, and you might jump into whatever, MyOb or Xero, and you might have your construction application, and you jump into Mail and all these sorts of things. So what we're talking about here is, imagine instead of adapting to each application's logic, you have an AI agent that understands what you're doing, and you interact only with the agent, right? And the agent does all the orchestration and all the working for you. Yeah. So that's a big change. So the SaaS model, which is you've got rigid interfaces and predetermined workflows. So you created a lot of silos. So what we're saying is there's going to be all these databases, and then you're going to interact with an AI front end, which will allow you to automate, connect different systems, et cetera, et cetera. So the promise, I'll stop there because I've got covered a fair bit of ground there. So the promise is, it does make sense, Tom.
It does make sense.
It does make sense.
It does make sense. There's a lot of questions though when people go, hang on, am I actually going to take my hands off the steering wheel and let this car drive itself? Like, what does it actually take for someone to do that? But the concept's good, don't get me wrong. So the idea is that the system now, instead of the poor user having to fill out forms on various systems and cut and paste and open that, call Sally and blah, 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 and send a message, the system just does that processing aspect for you. And does it in a way that recognizes the organizational rules, right? So it knows how to do things and gets on and does them for you. And obviously when it tends to like form filling, data entry, big deal. Who cares? It's like, great, thank you. You're doing all the tedious part of my job. But it's not as simple as that though, right?
No, it's not. It's not simple. So if we look at, we'll cover off risks and things like that. So I mean, I suppose what the issue with SaaS platforms is fragmentation. I mean, and a lot of this has been, this is not a new issue, and which is why there's, why there's data lakes and why people are spending a lot of time getting data platforms in place and getting connectors and all these sorts of things. So that, and that is still something people need to do. This doesn't change that. In fact, it makes it more, more paramount that you get your data centralized and you get it in good order, and it's giving you exactly what you need. So how sort of, from what I've seen, how this is going to play out. So what's happening today is where you're having AI being added as an enhancement to existing SaaS solutions. Right. So like Copilot. So that's already happening. So this is where, you might have a bit of a Copilot to do different things. Or you can offload some tasks, and the user change and the transition, the change management is, easier for users because it's just an augmentation of an existing tool that they're using. So, this is where, people I would suggest that, CIOs should be starting to play with this sort of stuff at the moment.
If they're not already, right? They're not already. Most people are in that space at some level, right?
Yes. Yeah. So using it. Well, I mean, some are. I mean, I do talk to a lot of, definitely there's a lot of a lot of
Pilots.
people who are still stuck on the personal productivity stuff.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. You need to move beyond that.
Yeah, they're still stuck in they're not really getting into the enterprise. They're not letting it touch the corporate data yet.
Yep.
So, but this is definitely, that's the next step. And then in whatever the next 12 to 18 months, the next step will be autonomous AI operations. So it will go from an assistant to doing things autonomously. So instead of augmenting what you're doing, it will take over. So you'll give it an instruction and it will go and handle the execution of that instruction.
Yes.
Yeah, so it'll manage the whole workflow.
Yep.
So that's next, right? That's the next challenge.
Yep.
And then the third one, which is a little bit away, I don't know how far away, is interface neutral intelligence, where the software interface is nearly invisible.
Yep.
And you so that's
chat,
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, chat, and that can be audio, that can be
spot on. Yeah.
So that's how far away do you think that is, Tom?
Well, I mean, let's just work through some examples because I think people go, "Oh, this sounds too futuristic. How does it actually apply to me?" So I think if you look at a really simple business process you've got, maybe it's order fulfillment, right? So sales guy makes an order. Hey, I've won a deal. Hey, press a button, and a whole bunch of things then flows out after that, right? So emails get sent out. Something gets updated in the finance system. There's a procurement part where there's the manufacturing or dispatch. But you need to know, the CIO needs to know the process. You need to understand the process. So if you can find a process in your organization that pretty basic, pretty vanilla, that happens here, all these people do these things, and the outcome is that, and I kind of know how that works, that's where you should start, right? And they're hard to find. Like once you start digging to find an actual simple process, every organization will tell you, oh no, not everything's the same. So, but you'll find a few really simple processes if you start with that. And then you look at, okay, well, how many systems are actually touched in this whole process end to end, from something happening to a customer actually getting value at this end? And then you need to look at all the interfaces that need to happen. From a sales guy going, please, Gary has ordered X amount of these things, go. Right, go for it. Now you've got all the information you need. How is an agent going to do all that for you? And it's a really interesting paper-based exercise just to do that.
Well, Microsoft have announced already their sales agent for D365 CRM.
Yep.
So there are agents, and we have discussed before, they do have agent templates. There's about 24, and that, they're saying you can have as many agents as you have Word documents or Excel sheets. So there's a lot of it there. It's definitely early, but it's definitely worth. There's an onboarding agent. There's a OH&S agent. So there's a lot of things already happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely an individual, a unique, for each business about making sure
you need to know the process. You need to know your process, right? But then you need to know, what data is transferred, and what are my interfaces to all my systems. And then if you've got that information, you can actually start doing this, right?
And then making sure the security is set up and that it can only access data that it's allowed to or move, so that's the whole. But once that's done, then it could conceivably in the next given how fast things are moving, who knows, but we'd say in a couple of years get to a stage where you're interacting or talking to something and it's doing that for you. Now, whether humans are happy changing that quickly, that is another story. But from a tech, they're not going to be. So, so that's the thing. So, is SaaS going away? So what the the zeitgeist is, we're witnessing SaaS evolve rather than disintegrate, and things like compliance, permission controls, and verticals like finance or healthcare, there will be still a need for very governed user interfaces and specialized sort of rigid workflows. So I think that may be the last place, but the SaaS vendors are going to have to really evolve their businesses, or some of them are going to go, so they're going to have to be able to interact with agents. They're going to have good API compatibility, good security. There's going to have to be somehow, they're talking about agent-friendly APIs. So the winners they're talking about are ones who can make it easy for AI to tap in and leverage their data sources, having good governance and security,
Yes.
agent-ready data models, and then
Yeah.
and then the third piece is the specialization. So that's where you're going to need SaaS platforms for very specialized industries that
That's right.
have that deep domain knowledge. Like that will be probably the last. That'll be the last again. But I mean, also, I mean, everyone thought that client server will be the end of mainframe, but there are still mainframes around, right? Everyone thought
Specific use cases. Yeah.
cloud will be the end of on-prem. Well, it's a hybrid.
No,
So
exactly.
it is, is SaaS going the way of the fax machine, or is it a evolution? Is it going to be, what are
It's
your
an
thoughts there?
evolution. There was a few things, I think, to touch on what you've talked about. So if SaaS evolves to be essentially a bunch of really just APIs, we still need a system of record, right, for your domains. You still need audit trails. You still need databases. You can't get away. They're really important elements and building blocks of any organization. So your SaaS is a system of record. So your Salesforce is a system of record of your sales orders. So your finance system of record for finance. Cool. You still need all that. And you need domain-specific rules embedded in those systems of records.
Yeah.
But you also need you need someone that actually owns the orchestration rules on top of that. And you need audit. You need to be able to demonstrate that the AI actually follows the rules set by the organization. It hasn't gone haywire. So you still need the controls in place on top of that to make sure you understand it. I think there's a few really interesting things from a SaaS licensing point of view.
Yes.
And I think anyone who has to deal with negotiating with their SaaS partner after they've got a SaaS platform in will be just celebrating that finally they've got some actual options to minimize their SaaS licenses. But the vendors will evolve, right? So all of a sudden, do you need 1,000 bloody Salesforce licenses at full tilt? Maybe you don't need that anymore. Maybe you just need 3 or 4. Maybe you need API licenses only. I don't know. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah. Okay. So I have found some info on this. So traditional SaaS platforms, so you pay per user per seat. So with AI as a service, so Microsoft have already sort of with Azure OpenAI for GPT, you're getting billed on a token basis. So a token.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I can't
So
measure it.
So what does it mean?
Freaking hard to measure control.
It's a string of letters. So how do you calculate it? So they have released a table about certain things equal different amount of tokens.
Why is it rocket science to bury, man? That stuff.
So what could be useful is from what I'm seeing, and it's probably not there yet, is this agent as a service is a model where you pay based on business value delivered rather than per user or per seat. So that's where this could really revolutionize.
Per transaction would be really fascinating, right? Not per human, per transaction. And you
outcome.
can demonstrate the value.
Yes.
Ah, man, how cool would that be?
It will obviously finance teams are going to have to work out how they're going to do their planning and budgeting, but that could really,
it's just an operational cost.
Have a big impact.
Yeah, per outcome. It's like, okay, the outcome of cost of goods was this, that'd be unreal. This token costing, honestly, it's impossible to work with, isn't it? Like, if you met anyone going, "Oh, I love token pricing. It's awesome."
It's really new, so I think it's gonna take it's gonna take time. So the new architecture, what's it going to look like? So I have found something that looks
cool,
reasonable. So they'll say there'll be what's it going to look like? There'll be an AI tier, so which is where the business logic resides. So this is the brain. There'll be a simplified back end, so the systems are just efficient data stores which are focused on security, accessibility. You have a unified user interface, so a natural language interaction, which can be context aware, so it can be voice, audio, video, and then cross-system integration. So you have agents that can work across multiple databases and services seamlessly. So that's different vendors going to work nicely together, or are you going to just be in a Microsoft ecosystem or a sales? Because Microsoft have the lot. They're one of the few. They have finance, they have CRM, they have all your end user data, they have everything. They could be They
So all
could
of a
be
sudden,
just that.
yeah. So all of a sudden, you don't need best of breed SaaS models anymore. The
Yeah.
argument for going with a different SaaS besides Dynamics is, oh well, this tool's actually much better than Dynamics version of this. Well, now maybe that's not as relevant anymore. Maybe what's more relevant is how do they talk to each other?
Yes. And what about the whole, all those UI UX designers? What are they going to be doing? Are they going to be designing the face of the
Prompts,
agent?
prompt engineers,
But
agents.
that's gonna yeah.
No. Well, are they going to go away? No. They're going to design fancy reports still. They still need to be. They still need charts and graphs and reports for accountants. I don't know.
All right. So now we've talked it up. So let's talk about some what are the challenges? So you've talked about it. So user trust. So how people are wary. Particularly around things which is their job. And are you going to trust an agent? I mean, a good example would be a driverless car. Oh, I'm
My
sorry,
favourite example.
I'm not
Take your
there.
hands off. Take
I'm
your hands
not
off the steering
there.
wheel. Go on, I dare you to.
No.
But over time, people do. People come back from
Yeah,
America going, "Oh, we're not one of those, right? Those
yeah,
driverless taxis." I loved it.
yeah, yeah.
Like it happens.
I didn't, but yeah, true. So education, proof of concepts, etc., etc. Change management.
Small. Start small. Start with users who want to be heroes, who
Yeah,
want to lead the process. Don't start with the negative Nancy's out there. All the
yeah,
usual things we talk about every
yeah.
episode.
And talk about how it's going to augment rather than replace.
Oh yeah,
Are they
do
lying?
that.
And then regulatory and compliance, it's going to be pretty big around finance, healthcare, data privacy. So this is going to be difficult. But again, doing, security is difficult anyway. So we've got to make sure there's robust security audits, all the things, industry
Yes.
standards. The other one that's interesting is complexity. So,
Yep.
what you've got to get, there is going to be a transition cost, and then integrating multiple services, data sources, models. You've got to have a really good architecture in place, and have a good team or partner that can help get this set up. So it's going to be a big transition period. So there's certainly it's not all beer and skittles here, but I don't know. It doesn't feel insurmountable, Tom.
Well, you need to start with a value prop, right?
Yeah,
You've got to start with that, and you've got to have that end in mind. So if we do this, we will save X.
yeah,
You've got to if you don't have that, we're doing this because we can. No, don't do that. Do it because it's going to make the company cheaper, faster, more effective.
yeah,
And then you can start working through the issues. But if you're not doing it because of those reasons, then stop. Just stop right now.
yeah, yeah.
The other,
God, sorry, Tom. Go. I've
no.
talked
The
too
other
much.
thing I'm worried about is look, AI is it will be, if not already, it could be smarter than most. It's smarter than most people. So if you are the guy responsible for explaining how this thing works, you need to be able to explain how it works. And that is I've seen that happen where people can't explain how it works. Oh, it just worked. It's like, for me to trust this system, I need to understand how that works. And I
Yeah,
need to be able to test it. I need to be able to demonstrate it's a reliable system. So you've got
yeah,
to design that right from the get-go. How am I going to prove that this thing actually follows the rules? I'm going to change my rules. How do I actually change those rules? So there's a bit to think through in that space.
mm,
I haven't seen a lot of that interface, Josh, that sort of orchestration type
yeah,
control set yet. Is it there yet? It will come, I'm sure.
yeah. No, it's just like agents are coming now, but yeah, as far as
The orchestration piece.
yeah, I would think like in my just reflection is that you think the SaaS vendors maybe at risk are more the niche ones who are doing narrow business cases, so they could be quite easily be replaced by an agent or a Power App or whatever,
Yep.
or an
Yep.
AI assisted developed application. You'd think the big ones, CRM, finance, ERP, would be the
They adapt.
last. Yeah,
They just adapt, right? They
they'll
change.
adapt. So I don't think they're going to go anywhere, but it's definitely they will change. And I feel unlikely, but getting to the point where there's no SaaS applications and all you're doing is talking to a bot and it's doing everything for you. I could see it happening. When? I don't know. 5 years, 8 years. I don't know. I feel the tech's probably will probably be there in the next 2 years.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
as far as the people change,
Yeah, I
will
mean, you
will
still
take
need
longer.
interfaces, though. I mean, to your point about, oh, does that mean we get rid of all the graphical user interfaces? No, I mean, you still need displays, you still need
Yeah.
feedback from computer systems. No one wants a form to fill out. No one wants that
No.
anymore. So
No.
that's probably the first point. But you still need to understand how systems are working and what's going on, and stock levels and changes in things and whatnot. So yeah, honestly, you've got to start with low-hanging fruit. You've got to start with high-value proposition, right? I mean, it's such a cliche, but it's so true.
So Tom, what should your colleagues and compatriots as an IT leader, what can they do to prepare
Yeah,
for agents?
you need to lead the conversation, right? So you need to be up in front talking about agents in your organization, but you
Yeah.
need to translate all the crap that the industry is talking about into business terminology. I think it's so important, right? I mean, if anyone mentions the words agentic, what is it?
Agentic.
Agentic. If you talk about that to a business person, they are not going to listen to the next word that comes out of your mouth, are they? You need to talk about the value of automation. You need to talk
Mm.
about the pain points in the business and how you're actually going to help solve those things. Your toolkit, it will be AI. That's cool. But you need to be the guy talking about that. And again, we talk about this all the time that CIOs, IT people, you guys can lead the charge. Always lead the charge in this space because you understand how all these systems come together. No one else in the organization actually understands the full picture. And you need to know that and you need to understand the process. Then you need to start demonstrating quick wins. How many times have we said this, Josh? How many
Mm.
times? But it's so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a great opportunity for everyone in the industry to actually start doing stuff.
So it's really educating the business on the capabilities and limitations,
Risks, yeah,
finding some low hanging
yeah,
fruit, develop an AI policy, governance and ethics policy. Get your
yeah.
data, invest in some data infrastructure, data lakes, some integration, getting robust data pipelines, APIs, governance. I mean, even whether you're doing agents or not, you should have connectivity between your data and doing, business intelligence and really
But most people will
moving
have that,
moving a
right?
business forward. Oh, really?
Oh, maybe not. If you don't, come and talk to Josh or me, please. We'll
Yeah.
help you. We'll
Well,
help
I
you.
mean, what's common is customers have 5 or 6 key systems and they're doing business intelligence on each
Oh, data
system. But
lakes and whatnot. Yeah,
as far as moving data between different systems and getting centralized, a
yeah,
good
right.
centralized, that- uh, I don't think there's a heap. There definitely are plenty that do it, but there's not many doing it well, and that is fundamental to doing this properly. Not to doing this AI agents. You need to get that. You need to get the foundation
Yeah,
in
but also,
place.
maybe it is just about, and someone mentioned this the other day actually, just said, look, maybe, instead of trying to solve the whole world, maybe
Yeah.
just start with a silo.
Yes.
Just start with one little business unit to make that particular life easy. Then you've got that bit, then you connect the next bit, and then you connect the next bit, and then all of a sudden you've got an actual value chain coming through.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, do AI augmentation rather than using the things that
Yes.
come with your platforms,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
co-pilots, just to get started. So I think that's I think some good points for listeners
Yeah, look, the
to
other thing
start
is,
doing.
so it should be about employee productivity. So more people doing more with less, making
Yeah,
sure people can now process more, do more. And that's a really interesting business case, particularly with aging skills, aging workforces,
yeah,
and scaling organizations who are looking to grow without putting on people.
yeah.
So you've got the answer for that, right? If you're talking to the board about helping a business scale, you've got some interesting tools at your disposal.
So where do you think are the good early adopters out there? Where do you think who's going to really embrace this
Oh,
first?
anyone with definable processes. Like
Mm,
if you're like a bespoke accounting firm, doing specialized accounting practices, no, this is not for you, right? Or maybe you've got some process around ingesting data or something. You need like high-end legal firms. Maybe you're tackling knowledge gaining, or you're tackling little silos. Financial organizations, you're tackling specific back office tasks.
yeah,
You're
yeah. And
starting small and low risk, right?
customer service and call center like screams for this sort of stuff.
Oh, anyone like doing like a maintenance request, service
Yeah,
requests,
yeah,
processing requests,
yeah,
low end, back end, no value services that you've got to provide.
yeah,
Yeah, that'd be gold, right? Absolute gold. Automation, getting stuff from a customer on a website through to the
yeah,
back office as fast as
yeah.
possible. gold.
Yeah. I mean, we built a bot for a customer recently on their website, so where people could cut. They had lots of documentation, medical documentation on the website, so someone could just talk to the bot, and then easily go talk to a human right from there, right? Just really,
and then the handoff to humans is so much more powerful because the humans are already informed, have got the context, and they're not having to repeat everything they just said. Yeah, that's really good.
And then the other million dollar question: what are the key skills for IT teams moving forward? What should people be thinking about? So there's AI and ML fundamentals, data science, AI ethics and governance, API and systems integration, and change management. So those are. Do you agree? Any add-ons?
Security, but
yes,
business process. Anyone with business process automation skills, understanding the process. But really, it comes down to communicating with your stakeholders. That is, I reckon, the number one skill. Like, if you're really good at building stuff behind the scenes, like, good luck. You need to communicate with your stakeholders.
The toughest conversations I've been having is with my kids, trying to explain what they should go and study when they're older, because all the current stuff, architect. I don't know if in 10 years' time they're going to need an architect. Maybe you should think about. But here you go. There's some answers here, but definitely the people to people stuff. Will there be I was listening to Tim Ferriss. I don't know if you know Tim Ferriss. You know, the 4-day work week and
that guy. Yes.
Sort of say he thinks there's going to be a yearning for analog experiences.
Yes.
So so I definitely think what you're saying, people skills, to present to boards, explain
big
business
thinking
processes.
Big thinkers, because computers are good at like doing defined processes or whatever, repeatable processes. Even like AI, you still need someone to organize and control the chaos. That's what humans will need to do. They need a board needs to trust a human to control it. So you need to be a controller. You need to be the orchestrator. That's where the skills are.
Yeah. So what did we say? So data science, AI and ML fundamentals, ethics and governance, change management. There you go. So we've given you some ideas of what you can. And I think I had to go and ask Claude about that. I was like, what should I tell my son to? He gave me some ideas, but
selling skills. They'll never go out of fashion, Josh. You'll be pleased to hear. Yeah.
Well, I have turned 50 since our last podcast, by the way. So
happy birthday!
Yes, yeah. Well, I will be around while this transition happens. So will you.
Yes.
Fortunately or unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with it, Tom.
But also, I don't think we need to reskill. Really, I think this is about a culmination of our experiences that make us actually more valuable. Unfortunately, kids that actually people who understand the whole process end to end, understand business value. That's the skill set that's required. How you build the building blocks, you know what? You can Google it now. You can put that into ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But you still need to understand the end to end. You still need to understand business value chains.
Yeah.
So we're okay, Josh.
It's exciting time to be in IT. It's definitely an exciting time. So, well, thanks, Tom. I'm wish you luck on your whatever your next.
Yeah, well, it's exciting times. I agree with you. Like this is actually the time to be out doing something, redefining.
And you did some cool data AI stuff at your most recent role.
Yeah, it was really good. And we got to a point, and I'd love to have gone a little bit further with that stuff as well. But that's really about understanding domain expertise and then making it useful for business users as well. So
the stuff you did around, being able to find home prices and lookups like that. That's really cool.
Identify what makes a property a good investment using machine language, not just human expertise. Yeah, it's really interesting. Plenty of that stuff around.
Good to see you, Tom, and
likewise,
thank you as always, and thank you for listening. I hope that was of interest to you. I found the process of researching. I found it fascinating, and I think it's going to be interesting times for all of us out there. If you want to have a chat to me about, we're doing data AI analytics. We're going to be doing an event with Microsoft, a wine tasting event, Tom. You're going to have to come with lots of very fine wine.
You had me at wine.
With a Microsoft data and AI presenter there. So if anyone interested in that and wants to have a chat to me, You can find me at jrubens@imperiumit.com.au if you want to have a chat to Tom about career, or if you have something you think that Tom will be suitable for, please reach out to him through LinkedIn. I'll take a 5% cut. That's no, please
Always an
do.
angle.
Please do. Excuse me. But thank you as always for listening.
All
See you
right.
out
Thanks,
there.
Josh. Good on you, mate. Cheers.
That's it.